just days after celebrating 56 years of independence, that country is today heading for the polls to elect a new government. It comes amid failures by Parliament to pass constitutional reforms that are meant to end political instability in the Mountain Kingdom. Let's get your insights now on how ready they are for these elections. Tuoe Hantsi speaks for the Independent Election Commission of Lesotho and joins us via our telephone line this morning. Great to have you on the program. Thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. So, we've been counting down to this day for quite some time. 65 political parties contesting power today. How ready are you feeling as the IEC?
Thank you so much, and all is well here in Lesotho. Yes, I am Tuoe Hantsi, spokesperson from IEC Lesotho. Yeah, we have registered 65 political parties, but only 52 are the ones that are contesting, sir.
All right, so that's a great correction to be noted. So of the 65 that have been registered, 52 are contesting. Are you able to tell us why that's the case?
Some of them have decided not to contest, and we have the coalition. I mean, alliance had to be cut down to 52.
All right, let me apologize to our viewers. Doesn't seem we have the best line that they do. But nonetheless, there had also been concerns in the past around voter turnout. In fact, it's a problem, I think, that exists in the region, if not throughout the world. Not enough people seemingly coming to vote. Do you get a sense that the IEC has done enough to attract at least that constituency?
We think so. Even if I cannot say it's enough, we tried our best to do that within this short space of time. But what I've actually witnessed is even the parties themselves, they have just outright themselves. They made sure that they come up with new things which I think will attract their followers or supporters so much. That will help to increase the voter turnout.
Sure. In the past, some of the neighbors, including South Africa, have had to intervene post an election that didn't go people's way. How worried are you of something like that this time around?
Pardon?
I'm saying, how worried are you about any kind of volatility that may lead to even South Africa having to intervene, given the fact that that has happened in history before for Lesotho?
We are so optimistic that everything goes right and everyone accepts the outcome. And with that way, I think we will be grateful. And that is the wish of every Lesotho and everyone who loves this country, so that we come out in the end peaceful country.
Yeah. Lastly, there's also a lot of talk around these constitutional reforms that were meant to be passed by legislatures in Lesotho and the inability to do that so that you can arrest something like political instability. Already analysis this morning, we've been told that that is not necessarily going to affect how people feel about today's elections. But do you reckon it's going to have an impact on how smoothly the polls themselves are able to run?
It is true, and the unfortunate part is it somehow played a major role because people were expecting changes in our legal framework in terms of those areas of the law which had to be amended or changed. However, the most confusion was the manner in which things happened were so confusing because the parliament actually was dissolved before they passed those laws, and there was an emergency which was declared, and later on, after making the reforms, the court of laws, through the arguments, they had to declare those null and void. So eventually, it has been back and forth things. But however, I think Basotho are peaceful people, and hopefully we will see as it comes. We are depending on the current legislature, and hopefully it is going to work well.
Yeah. Has that back and forth affected your ability to prepare for these polls?
So much because our planning was depending on the latest amendments which were later on declared null and void.
Sure. What does that mean for how these polls can be held? I mean, do you anticipate that there may be gaps?
Most definitely, but normally the lucky thing about law is there is no vacuum. If you are anticipating the next to be changed, as long as you are having the current, you depend on the current. So fortunately, we have a fallback position.
All right, Tuoe Hantsi, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. He speaks for the IEC in Lesotho, mentioning there in some ways how these two bills that were meant to be passed, well, at least there were hopes that they were meant to be passed by legislatures in Lesotho, and how they affected their ability to prepare for this election. I get a sense, though, that he's trying to be optimistic nonetheless, given what I think is a glaring area of concern as we head to these polls. We'll keep watching them for you as they start today.